Today we're taking a look at some of the best everyday carry gear under $50. We've got a few new releases, we've got a few old favorites. This is one of my favorite series to do, so let's just dive straight into it. First up is a brand new release. This is the Nitecore Tiny 3. The Tiny 2 was one of my favorite flashlights of all time. I absolutely love these super small form factor lights. They come in handy for just so many situations. There aren't too many dramatic changes here with the version 3 update, which is a good thing in my opinion, but the few changes they have made are really nice. Getting into some of the basics, it only weighs 20 grams, so less than an ounce. It measures 1.86 inches by 1 inch, and it's about a half an inch thick. You have a max output of 600 lumens on turbo mode and a few other modes as well at 1 lumen, 15, 65, and 200 lumens. Operation here is extremely similar to the Tiny 2 if you're familiar with that. It's really nice and easy to navigate around the menus. You have an OLED screen display on the front, which I really like, so it'll show the lumen output, but it'll also show the remaining battery time with whatever mode you're in. Super handy if you want to go with some of those higher ones and are worried about how fast it's draining. The big change with this version 3 though is the ability to adjust the color temperature. You now have the choice of cool, neutral, or warm light, which is awesome. It's rechargeable via USB-C, so no replaceable battery with this tiny form factor, kind of as expected, just like the previous one. It's IP54 rated as well. All in all, I'm just really happy with this. Like I said, the changes from the Tiny 2 weren't so dramatic, so if you already have a Tiny 2, it might not be worth the upgrade, but if you've been looking at it or holding off, now is the time with these additional changes. The price of the Tiny 2 is actually $40. I'm checking this out pre-release. I was lucky enough to get a review sample here, so I'm not sure of what the price is. I'm assuming it's going to be at or around the same price, so still under that $50 price tag. Definitely check it out. One of my favorite super tiny lights here. Got an old favorite and classic of mine up next. This is the Wayfinder Flux Minimalist Card Holder Wallet. I've had this for a number of years and it is consistently one of my most recommended wallet options for a more budget range. It comes in at $30 and the material is really what shines and stands out here and makes it hold up and compared to much more expensive wallets. It's a polymer coated 420D nylon. It's both waterproof and hydrophobic, so really great if you take this on any sort of like outdoor activities or swimming or sweating or anything like that. It's also machine washable, so it holds up really well over time. You have this really great grippy texture. I am a really huge fan. It's very similar to another favorite wallet of mine, the Reform wallet. This is just much less expensive and a much simpler design. It's actually a no-sew construction. It's welded and bonded. Very simple layout here. You just have one card slot on either side, not even one in the center. The website rates it up to 11 cards. I think a more realistic is going to be 4 to 6 plus cash, but you know, your mileage may vary. I don't like to overstuff and overfill my wallets. If you're on a budget though and don't need to carry a lot in your wallet, this thing feels so premium just because of the material that they're using here. It's great. One of my favorite choices under $30. Next up, we have the CIVIVI Mini Praxis. This is my long-standing king for budget knives under $50. I know a lot of people are a fan of the QSP Penguin. I actually tried that and really wasn't. I might have gotten a dud. It's probably worth checking out again sometime, but CIVIVI always kills it for the price range. Just super smooth action and polish for their prices, but over time they've really bumped into more of like a $50 to $75 category. Mini Praxis remains at $29 on Amazon, which is great. My model uses Damascus steel and a Jaborsha wood handle, but the $29 version uses a G10 handle and a 2.9 inch drop point D2 steel blade. The total weight comes out to 78 grams. It's 6.79 inches open. Like I said, 2.9 inch blade, and closed it is 3.81 inches. You know, D2 is not a high-end steel or anything, but for $30, you're really getting a lot for your money. Super smooth, super pleasant. Can't recommend it enough. Next up, we've got a longtime favorite of mine. These are the Lytmi CozyFit open ear headphones. Lytmi was also kind enough to sponsor this week's video as well, so a huge thanks to them. The CozyFits have been my go-to open ear headphones since they originally released. The value proposition here is absolutely incredible. I've been a longtime advocate for open ear headphones. They actually sit on the outside of your ear instead of inside like a more traditional earbud. It's much better for your ear health, but it's also really great in a bunch of different situations situations where you need to hear your surroundings. These have been my go-to for any sort of hiking or backpacking. I could never go back to traditional earbuds at this point. The CozyFits here are extremely comfortable. A big part of this is the open ear design, but they're also super lightweight. They come in at 6.7 grams per headphone. They also use a 0.6mm memory steel wire through the body. This helps fit a wide variety of ear shapes. The super thin design also plays really well with glasses, much better than most others I've tried. It is incredibly easy just to completely forget that you're wearing them. The sound quality is great, especially considering the open ear design and the price. Bass isn't super heavy, but they're pretty balanced and sound really crisp. I use these a lot for audiobooks and podcasts. Like I said, I have them on when I'm hiking and backpacking. For that sort of application, they are absolutely perfect, but you still get a really balanced sound from music too. Their IPX5 water resistance are really great if you get caught in some rain or you're working out and sweating. Battery life is also really solid. You get a full 8 hours from the headphones themselves or 30 hours with the charging case. I can't recommend these enough, especially for the price. I raved about them last year when I first got them, and they still continue to be my main and default go-to open ear headphones. Be sure to check the link in the description down below if you want to learn more, pick some up for yourself. Huge thanks again to Lytmi for sponsoring this week's video. While we're on the topic of tech, this is the InCharge XS 4-in-1 charging cable. I talked about this thing a month or two ago when I first got it, and I've been raving about the InCharge X for quite a few years. I just absolutely love these little keychain charging cables. If you're not already familiar, it's a 4-in-1 design. You have USB-A and USB-C on one side, and you can change this out with a hinge. And on the other, you have Lightning and USB-C. So you can do a lot of different combinations if you have older legacy Lightning devices. Super handy to throw into a travel bag or your daily bag if you want to charge something up really quick. The XS model here is the newer version. It covers a full 240 watts of charging, so you can even charge a laptop or something with this, which is really nice. The original InCharge X goes up to 100 watts of charging, but it also has the micro USB. So depending on what your setup looks like, you might want to go with that over this. But if you want the faster charging and don't have any micro USB items, I'm a really big fan of this one. They improved the build quality quite a bit since the original. It's a metal build. I feel like the hinge design feels a little bit more sturdy and strong. Super inexpensive, super small and lightweight. It's 3.1 inches in length and weighs just a little over an ounce. Definitely grab one of these. I find myself reaching for them constantly in a number of different situations. I have 2 or 3 of them now. Next up, we've got some Leatherman accessories from Galvanox. I checked out their bit driver extender a year or 2 ago and was a really big fan. I saw they have some additional attachments now. Picked them up and checked them out. I am in love with this sort of stuff. If you're familiar, most of the Leatherman multi-tools have this flat bit design. You can get quite a few different things from Leatherman themselves, but Galvanox here has some really good value options. A couple of new things here. First up is this 1/4-inch hex ratcheting driver. So it slots right into the flat bit here, and you can use any sort of 1/4-inch and you get a really nice ratcheting mechanism. It's not going to be some super high-end ratchet, but it definitely feels really nice, especially considering the price. They also just released this little magnetic adapter to be able to use regular 1/4-inch bits as well. Much more straightforward here. But if you have a Leatherman and you're looking to expand it out, I've been thinking about doing like a full Leatherman kind of kit out accessory type of video since I first found these original ones a couple of years ago. If there's any more stuff I should check out, definitely let me know. But if you want to kind of expand the use of your Leatherman, check these out. I've been a really big fan. If the Tiny 3 wasn't quite enough flashlight for you, next up we have the Manker E03H3 flashlight. This thing came out last year. I've had it for quite some time and I am really impressed for the price. It comes out to $34. You get a 1200 lumen max with the turbo mode. They have a low light moonlight mode that goes from 0.1 to 2.5 lumens. And then you have low, medium, and high on the normal modes that go at 45, 160, or 600 lumens. The light itself is a 6500 Kelvin cool white LED. It weighs 42 grams and comes out to 3.26 inches long and is 0.75 inches in diameter. The build quality here is really excellent, especially considering the price. It's an anodized aluminum body with a stainless steel switch on the top. It's a right angle design, so that's going to be kind of a love it or hate it depending on your use. Now, you don't really have the best ergo to hold it out if you're walking around town or anything, but I really like these right angle angle lights when you have a magnetic base. This one has a super strong magnetic base. I think it just makes it a little more useful if you want to stick it on something, if you're working on the car or working in some tight space or cabinet or anything. It makes it super handy and you get a little bit more viewing angles compared to just a more straightforward flashlight. Inside you have a removable and rechargeable AA or 14500 battery. It has the little USB-C port on the side, which is really great. I love being able to swap those out when I can. It makes the products last a lot longer compared to a built-in internal battery. It's IP68 rated for dust and water resistance. The switch itself feels really great. The overall operation is super smooth. I like the UI, if you want to call it that. It's really easy to figure everything out right from the get-go. And one thing worth noting too, for any flashlight, but especially one at this price point, you get a few free diffusers on there. So you get a couple of colors and a clear one, and then you also get a headband to be able to convert this into a headlamp. Really nice additional touch, especially at this price point. You usually don't get those extra freebies and features. Really good build quality overall though, really good output. I'd say this is a strong step up from that sort of $20 range that we talk about a lot around here. Definitely worth checking out further if you need a new flashlight. Got a couple of items from Lochby up next. This is the Mini Field Journal and this is the Sidekick. I got a couple of things from them last year and was extremely impressed. So right around the end of last year, I picked up a couple more things. Starting with the Mini Field Journal though, it measures 6.9 inches by 4.3 inches. It fits your sort of standard pocket notebooks like field notes or anything like that. They do sell notebooks themselves, but you can easily fit your own field notes instead. So it makes it super easy for refills and things like that. So it's a journal and it holds a notebook, but there is actually quite a few additional things in here that are worth mentioning. First up, it can hold up to 4 notebooks. So if you have, a few different ones for different things or like to keep spares and want to keep this just as a journal, first and only, you can definitely do that. But if you want to store some extra things, there's some really great options in here. On this side, you have one large pouch. You can keep a pen or a pocket knife, or I have my little InCharge X in here as well. You have a little flap underneath there, as well as 2 card slots behind that. On the opposite side, you have an extra sleeve here that will fit additional notebooks, which is a really nice touch. And then you do have an elastic pen holder on the edge as well. And then you do have an additional pocket on the outside. One of the many reasons why I love these guys, not a lot of wax canvas and these sort of like tech pouches and organizers and things like that, just has a really great organic look and feel and is super durable as well. On the interior, you have this really great yellow honeycomb pattern for the fabric, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. If you're someone that goes around and carries notebooks and wants to carry some other doodads, this would work really well, kind of as a bigger wallet, or you can even use this as a travel wallet, put in your passport instead of one of those notebooks. I think the sizing is about the same. Lots of versatility here for what you can do for it. I did see, unfortunately, on the website when I was prepping, I ordered this back in December, but it's looking like it's out of stock right now until July. I'll put a link down there anyway. Maybe it'll come in sooner, but do want to talk about one other thing from them, and that is the Sidekick. The Sidekick here almost feels like a baby brother to the Mini Field Journal. It measures 5.8 inches by 3.7 inches, and it only weighs 60 grams. You have that same wax canvas shell on the exterior and the same honeycomb interior. Instead of the normal pocket-sized notebooks, though, this will hold A7 notebooks, or you can skip the notebook altogether if you want to store and use it in some other way. This was actually a collaboration with Max Level EDC, so if you're familiar with that channel, you can thank them for this. I really like the overall layout and organization here, though. On this side, you have 3 different card slots, and then you have an extra underneath there. In the center, you can store a pen with this extra little spot. And on this side, this is where you can put the A7 notebook itself. You have a little extra card slot here. I've got some cash in there. And then you have this one little tiny pocket. I'm not entirely sure what its purpose is, but it fits an air tag perfectly. Now, this is a little big to fit in your back pocket or something, but if you wanted to use it as a wallet, if you keep it in a bag or a sling or anything like that, I think this would be really great. Really cool layout, really cool design. Love the materials that Lochby are using. Check out a few other things too. I can put links to the stuff I have from last year. A lot of their stuff is under $50 and the quality is all equally great. Can't get through a budget EDC video without talking about Casio. Next up, we've got the Casio A168W-1. This is one of my longtime favorites, but I'll say right off the bat, there are a bunch of Casios that fit the under $50 price range. It's always tough for me to decide which one to put in here, but the A168 is so great. Definitely a strong contender as one of my favorites. This exact model was seen in the movie Wanted and also Wonder Woman 1984, but the very similar A159 was made famous in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Then you also have the classic A158 that was in Everything Everywhere All at Once a couple of years back. I love seeing and hearing about that type of stuff. Hopefully you enjoy it too. Getting into some of the basics though, the case diameter measures 38.6 by 36.3 millimeters. It's chrome on here, but it is a chrome plated resin. You have resin glass here too, so it is going to scratch pretty easily. This specific model though has a really great backlight as shown with the giant electroluminescence across the face. You have a 7-year battery life here and all of the digital watch functions you'd expect and want. So stopwatch, timer, alarm, all of that type of stuff. Just a real classic. The World Time Watch is also a really good one. A lot of people love the Casio Duro. That's pushing a little bit over that $50 at this point though. Such a classic and such a great value. I always tell everyone I get way more compliments on my cheap Casios than any of my other watches when I'm out and about. As I've gotten more into watches over time and as I've actually been testing out an Apple Watch for the past few months, I still always go back and love my Casios. Definitely worth a check out if you haven't gotten one yet. They're kind of addicting because they're so cheap. That is the end of the list though. I really hope you got some good ideas from this one. I'd love to hear down below if you have any recommendations for things to check out. I make these, under $50 EDC videos as soon as I can find enough gear to showcase. Hopefully you didn't mind too. Put in a few older classics. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you've probably seen a few of these, but I expect, it's been a couple of years since I've shown that stuff and maybe there's some new folks out here that might want to see it. So hopefully you don't mind. Let me know down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.